Good afternoon, and I realize that it's a bit of a trapped audience here. You can't leave until you get after the talk and you get the calendar, so I'll try and keep it short and succinct. This is a very familiar ceremony to many Thai people, but to the Westerners perhaps a bit unusual. You can say, maybe if you think about it in terms of this is like our Christmas party. How about that? Is that better? It's the end of our rainy season retreat, and so the monastic community now begins to travel to different places, and it's an opportunity for the lay community to recognize and acknowledge their support for the monastic sangha, and maybe show their appreciation for the teachings they have received. And they offer the robe material and other requisites, and it's time for us, if we need to make robes before we start traveling. Because sometimes if we're wandering around, like I am, around the world, don't always have occasion to make robes. Of course, nowadays, wherever I go, there's plenty of robe material around. But our tradition is to make our own robes. I haven't made a robe for I don't know how many decades now, but it's still part of our tradition. So we receive the robe material, and then we'll sew up the robe. And usually, for a formal Kathina ceremony, we have to do this within a certain time. We have to prepare this robe before dawn of the next day. And so this is a time when the community, monastic community, can work together. It takes lots of hands to be able to sew a robe in a few hours. And we're able to do the ceremony, then begin our travel. But important to recognize this is an event in the practice of generosity. Our monastic order survived for 2,500 years through the support of lay people who appreciate the values that we're trying to uphold, the spiritual tradition, and now in our materialistic world sometimes it gets forgotten. And people have their own means of livelihood. You can just go down to, John Lewis or Marks and Spencer's and buy your robes. Huh? Well, I won't get one of these robes, I'm sure. They're never in fashion. You have to probably go all the way to Thailand somewhere to get a robe like this. But in our societies, that's how society really functions, is that people support each other. And in a country like Thailand, they're reminded every day about the support for the monastic sangha, because we go our alms around every morning in the villages and the towns to collect our food, and people are there every day. I traveled in Thailand quite a bit, and I was in Thailand for 10 years. Never went hungry once in all this time. Even sometimes I was wandering up in the mountains of Chiang Mai and the hill tribe people. And once I went to a village with my alms bowl, and the people came out of the village and they looked at me and said, "What do you want?" I couldn't speak mountain Thai language, whatever they speak. So I just pointed to my bowl. They went inside and got some rice and gave it to me. So it's something to eat that day, see? It doesn't take a lot to food, hungry, bowl. It's a universal language. But this is an old tradition, which comes from the time of the Buddha, and it's to remind people to recognize the values of generosity, to be able to share things. Now in our modern society, it's so individualistic. It's me, me, me. There's even a me generation, isn't there? I think I'm too old for it. But this is the Buddha is pointing out that we think about ourselves too much. This is the cause of our suffering. We take ourselves too seriously. Me, me, me all the time. But we don't survive without a society, without a mother and a father, without people to look after us, without governments, whatever. We need society, we need other people to survive. And so this is a universal tradition, generosity, practicing generosity. And sometimes It's formalized into these particular ceremonies. They have special significance. The whole purpose is generosity. For us to practice this and recognize the value of it. And for some people who can really get into it, you realize they can experience a great joy in giving. The joy of being able to open up your heart, being able to share your possessions with other people. There's a sense of joy in this. I mean, it takes a little bit of practice because sometimes people might think, oh, I've got to give something. What do I give? How much do I have to give and all these things? But it's totally voluntary. Free will donations. Whatever you feel. If you go to your brain, you get a headache. You just go to your heart. You recognize the value. It's a heart-opening process, not a brain operation. But people can recognize the joy of giving. You know, even now in the Western society, we know about Christmas. I don't know what Christmas these days. I haven't had a Christmas in 40-odd years, you see. But in those days, 40 years ago, people used to talk about the joy that people get from giving, sharing at Christmas time. Even though the sharing is usually to your relatives and your family, people felt great joy in that. And it transcends all the limitations we have. Even somebody you're in disagreement with, if you give something to them, it breaks through all the old stories and all the animosity. And you share something. In one of the scriptures, it's mentioned that one way to resolve differences and feelings of anger or frustration with somebody is to give them a gift. And it just breaks through. Don't say anything, just give them a gift. And it's a wordless acknowledgement of our open-heartedness we all share together. So these kind of ceremonies, even though they have their formalities and there's some kind of strange language, you'll be chanting Pali language, comes from the time of the Buddha. But if you look at the universal message behind it, it's about generosity and sharing. It's like coming here and sharing all the food we had. I mean, I don't think you share all of it. Too much, huh? Took a little bit of everything, it'd be too much. But it's all available to us, freely given. We can all appreciate that and benefit from that. And hopefully they didn't overeat. It's a danger too, but too much. But these traditions are very helpful to keep them if you look at the purpose behind it. Okay, sometimes we have to adapt them to our Western cultures, but sometimes they have a deeper meaning than the outside form. You don't understand the form outside, but look at the heart of it. What's the real purpose and message there? And this supports the monastic community to live our life. And everything is freely given at the monastery and freely available to anybody who comes along. But these traditions are worth holding on to even when you come to a foreign country. How many Thai people would acknowledge they can come to Devon, the countryside town of Devon, what is it? Oh, Offwell, and participate in a ceremony like this, traditional Thai ceremony. This little corner of England here. You don't have to go back to Thailand to continue these practices. You can practice in Great Britain these days, and also now all over the world. Now I'm a real homeless monk, monastaryless monk, because I've retired from being abbot. But it also means that I can travel everywhere. So I've been around to most of our monasteries all over the world. And these traditions are upheld in most of these monasteries all over the world. Whether it's Australia, or Canada, or America, or in Switzerland and Italy. Now people begin to appreciate the values that the Buddha was giving us 2,500 years ago. These values of generosity, morality, meditation, these principles are universal once we understand them. They're speaking to a deeper level of us. And even though we don't speak the same languages, in Italy, Switzerland, and England, but these kind of ceremonies, they're universal. The universal language of community and opening your heart and practicing generosity. So these are kind of ceremonies which do have their universal relevance to us. So the important part is to recognize just what the heart values are. And so we can practice this in any country, and wherever we go, And of course, it takes different forms, generosity. This ceremony is principally to offer robe material, but we got lots of gifts, little presents as well, you see. But the different ceremonies have different purposes, but the main part is to open the heart with generosity, something we can all appreciate and all participate in. And when I was wandering around Thailand, people would sometimes chase after me to offer me food. I, being from the West, I thought, oh no, I have enough food, thank you. And but I realized I had to honor their offering. They wanted to make that offering, and so we're available for that. It is something which is we can respect everywhere. It's a universal message. So hopefully today you can take back this memory, and photographs of all the food and all the people, and you remember what the real purpose was, to be able to share in this act of generosity. And I'm sure if you open to that and look at the heart feeling about it, you recognize a different quality in your mind, great peacefulness of mind. When I was in Switzerland, we used to have a meditation weekend, first weekend of each month. And one of our Thai supporters told me, well, she's going to come on Sundays and make the offerings at the monastery. So Sunday came along, and she came with her friends and brought food for all the 30 meditators. And after the meal offering, we're going up to meditate. So I said, oh, you're going to come and meditate also? She said, oh, no. My practice is feeding the meditators. Then I was up in the meditation hall, and I thought, oh, it's a bit unfortunate. She came all this way, she practiced generosity, keeps the precepts in the monastery. Now she should come up and meditate as well. She had all the right conditions for meditation. When our heart is open, this is when meditation can really function, because our mind is peaceful. If you reflect upon generosity, your mind can be very, very calm and peaceful. If you think about your problems, wow, you got a big headache. But think about letting go. Just let you let go of these offerings, let go of the problems in your mind. Your mind can be very peaceful. So I was thinking about this. Why didn't she come up and meditate? And I opened my eyes and looked at the meditators in front of me. All Westerners sitting there with their eyes closed, a big frown on their face, painful knees, looking terribly miserable. I thought, maybe she has a better idea, actually. Because she left the monastery with a big smile on her face and a very joyous experience, you see. But she probably could experience that, for hours, maybe even days afterwards. Great peace in her heart. Where these meditators were very serious. We're going to get enlightened before I leave today. And all they got was mostly sore knees, I think. They kind of missed the real point of meditation, is to open your mind and let these thoughts go. And experience the real quiet and peace of the mind, which is our native or natural experience. The mind is naturally calm. But we fill it up with ourself, don't we? You look at the thoughts that come into your mind, it's all about me, isn't it? Me this and me that. You just let go of yourself, drop yourself, your mind can return to its natural peacefulness. We try it tonight, huh? But we recognize the value then of these practices, generosity, morality, meditation is Buddhist practice. And these, if we practice them, they round out our spiritual practice. And to me, spiritual means wholeness. It's not some kind of weird ritual we do with our eyes closed, but it means wholeness, completeness. So generosity is opening the heart. You say morality, this is purifying our speech and our action. Meditation is purifying the mind. They all work together. So they balance out our being. Our being becomes more whole, if you like. And recognizing the purpose and value of these practices. So we had the opportunity today to practice generosity, and hopefully you'll be able to take home with you some of the joy and lightheartedness and the peacefulness of mind. And most important, be able to put this into our life. Not just one event we have once a year, and keep it with you. Reflecting upon your generosity is one of the meditation themes. You can take that memory with you.
and bring it up in your meditation. And bring up that experience of lightheartedness and joy. And see what it does for you. So I hope this will be some useful reflections for you. And I wish you'll be able to practice this, practice the generosity in this form, and any kind of form is very useful to you. Generosity is a universal practice. Letting go of our sense of self, of our selfishness, whatever supports that is beneficial as part of Buddhist practice. And you experience the joy and the peacefulness of mind for yourself. So I offer this for your reflection today.